Om Shri Sai Ram, offering my most humble and prayerful salutations at the lotus feet of our beloved Bhagwan, Sri Satya Sai Baba. Today, we are again blessed to continue this beautiful journey, exploring the life and lessons from and one of the divine avatars, Sri Hanuman. So let us begin this evening's episode offering through our prayer, and please join us in. O Lord, take my love and let it flow in fullness of devotion to Thee. O Lord, take my hands and let them work incessantly for Thee. O Lord, take my soul and let it be merged in one with Thee. O Lord, take my mind and thoughts and let them be in tune with Thee. O Lord, take my everything and let me be an instrument to work for Thee. Om Shri Sai Ram. It has been a marvelous journey exploring Sai Ram Katha. More so when we came to the life of Sri Hanuman, the most important character in Ramayana. We are blessed to notice and learn as a sadhaka, as a spiritual aspirant, the journey of a vanar. In simple words, a person born in a very humble beginning in a forest, from being a vanara to becoming a supreme consciousness, God. An amazing journey which Sri Hanuman has depicted. On one hand, we found he was also Rudra avatar, born of the same Paisam or the core element where all the rest of the avatar brothers had born. Yet in his journey compared to others were different. He was given a much harder task to live in a very, very humble manner and then to rise from there and to become the supreme consciousness. Today, we are going to explore this further and look at this avatar, how he becomes a godhead, what is the difference, and what all can be learned from this avatar, Rudra Rupa, Pavan Putra, Sri Hanuman. Before I venture in, let me introduce another brother of mine here, Sai Jagdish. Let me invite him in.
Sai
Sai
Ram.
Ram, brother Jagdish.
Sai Ram, brother. Thank you for having me. And I got this opportunity of sharing with Amritam with you. Thanks to Bhagwan and you. Sai Ram.
Thank you very much. Welcome. Sai Jagdish is also an alumni from Sai Institute, and it's my pleasure to have him on this offering tonight. So, Jagdish, we shall continue on this beautiful exploration of Lord Hanuman. I wanted to tell that last episode we had mentioned that when everything was over, Ravana was killed and blah blah, and then they all returned. And we had mentioned that how everybody wanted to praise Hanuman, and all the rishis and Kochans all got together and requested Sri Ram to, uh, you know, to allow them to praise and felicitate Hanuman. And in that process, we had described few things, and there was Bhagwan was so he was describing this event, and he actually uh, said this poem, a song describing Hanuman. It's in Telugu, so I would request you to start off by reading this poem and just quickly translating it for us.
Yes, brother. రాముని కార్యము నెరవేర్చిన కపిరాజ శిఖామణి నీవయ్యా, అడవుల కొని కొని జగమున వెలసిన హనుమద్గురుడవు నీవయ్యా, పరిపరి లంకా పురమున జొచ్చిన పురవర శౌరివి నీవయ్యా, జానకి శిరమున తలతల మెరిసే ఘనఘనమణి మోసిన ఘని నీవయ్యా. Beautiful in his imitable style, unimitable style. In fact, Swami says here that you are that Kapiraja Shikhamani, the crest jewel of all of the Kapis, that could complete Ramakaryam to perfection. So, in fact, as we have seen from various episodes here and in Sundarakandam, that every moment he is totally in sync with Ramakaryam. He doesn't let his ego even an iota to prop in. So that's what here they are mentioning here, that he has completed Ramakaryam to perfection. In fact, like you mentioned, Adavula koni koni jagamuna velasina Hanumat gurudavu nivayya. So in popular parlance and even in the Puranas, it's mentioned that Hanuman, he loves to live in the forest, and he's a forest dweller. Many times, even in the Sundarakanda, it's mentioned that he loves to live in the forest. So here he says, Adavula koni koni jagamuna velasina Hanumat gurudavu nivayya. So he's the guru who, by action and also by his words, is able to take us to Rama or to the Paramatma. Paripari Lanka Puramuna Jochina Puravara Shauri Vinivaya. So here he says, you have gone to Lankapuram again and again to complete Ramakaryam again and again, and there you have won over this city of Lanka, just like Puravara Shauri. So here they are referring to Tripurasura Vadha, where the Puravara Shauri is Shiva, and here they are comparing him to Shiva, who is Shivavatara himself, Hanuman, and they are saying you are the Puravara Shauri, who has won over the Puri of Lanka, just like Shiva won over the Tripuras, the three cities. Janaki Shiramuna Talatala Merise Ghana Ghana Mani Mosina Ghani Nivaya. So here it's the direct reference to Hanuman taking Mother Sita's Shikhamani, the crest jewel, and coming back to Rama as a proof, maybe, of he having found Sita in there. And here the beauty is that they are referring Hanuman to the Ghani. Ghani means it's a mine. So it seems Hanuman is the mine from which this Ghana Ghana Mani of Sita's Shikhamani was found. That's the beauty of this slokam from Swami. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Because we had committed this that we will try to find it. Fortunately, we got it and wanted to share that. So let us continue this beautiful journey and look at our Ramaduta Sri Hanuman. And I'm tempted to say the prayer of Panchamukh Hanuman. You know that Om Namo Hanumantaya Rudravataraya Panchavadanaya Purvamukhe Maharudraya Sakala Shatru Samharanaya Sri Ramadutaya Swaha. Om Namo Hanumantaya Rudravataraya Panchavadanaya Dakshinamukhe Karilavadhanaya Narsingharaya Sakala Bhuta Preta Nidhanaya Sri Ramadutaya Swaha. Om Namo Hanumantāya Rudravatarāya Bhasmukhe Shri Garudāya Sarvigna Nivaranaya Shri Ramadutaya Swaha. Om Namo Hanumantāya Rudravatarāya Panchavadhanaya Putramukhe Adibharaya Sakala Sampatti Pradaya Shri Ramadutaya Swaha. Om Namo Hanumantāya Rudravatarāya Panchavadhanaya Urdhvamukhe Haigrīvāya Sakala Janavashikaranaya Shri Ramadutaya Swaha. Om Bhagwan Sri Satya Sai Babaya Namaha. Hanuman is also depicted in Panchamukhi form. And we have seen Ma Gayatri in that. We have also seen Ganesh in that form. In fact, the supreme concept, the human limitation I would add there is we want to depict that once somebody who has reached that state, how he should be. And so the best way is to just copy Lord Shiva and paste him there. So I guess Hanuman's ultimate, the supreme form as a Purna avatar is the Panchamukhi form. It is considered to be too auspicious. It is considered to be most benevolent. And as worshippers, Panchamukhi Hanuman is worshipped. So, brother, let us spend little time in sharing this concept of five heads. What does these five heads represent? And why do we represent that in any form? Like I said, Ganesh and Ma Sharda, everybody takes this five head form in ultimate depiction of Godhead. So, in a simple way, I know, as we were discussing before, it is basically five directions, five kalas, that represented. So, in which we say that all the directions and everything, and all the five elements of the nature through which the creation has been made is represented by the five heads, which depicts that now they become the source of this creation, hence a supreme Godhead. So, do you want to share some more thoughts on this typical five heads of Hanuman?
Certainly, brother. Like you wonderfully mentioned, all the supreme godheads, you take Shiva, you take Mother Gayatri also, she is represented with her five heads. Many people also mention that, this Panchamukhi Hanuman is directly, the reflection of Lord Shiva. Lord Shiva has his five faces, which are the Sadyojata, Vamadeva, Aghora, Tatpurusha, Ishana. These are the five faces of Lord Shiva. And similarly, Hanuman's five faces are these five: the Kapi Mukha, Narasimha Mukha, the Garuda Mukha, the Hayasva or the Hayagriva Mukha, and the Varaha Mukha. So these are the five. And here they also, in his mantra that you just read out, right? They also mention what these five faces bestow. The iconography of basically this five faces, and why Hanuman is represented like this is also to make a sadhaka's life easy in trying to do his upasana. So how do you worship a lord with five faces? So once, one of our elders, one of our teachers had mentioned that, it's very easy for one of us, I mean any human being, any sadhaka, to relate to God as a much larger human being than myself, let us say, and similarly, maybe if a cat were to imagine God, it would probably imagine him as a very large cat, maybe, a huge tiger, maybe. Right. So that is why, first of all, why do you represent God in the form of a human being, is this. And then why do you represent him with five heads? Because, one of the very simplest ways to mention that is, to explain that is basically to mention that he's superhuman. He's in the human form, yes, but he's then over and above the human form. Okay. The five heads normally in the Upasana Shastra also stand for different bijaksharas. So this is the way the iconography is done. When the Gada or the Varaha Mukha is there, there is a particular bijakshara that is attributed to this form, and then the five bijaksharas come together with probably a sixth one or a seventh one. It depends on the way the rishis have seen his mantra. And then these five or six bija aksharas along with a prayer normally constitute the upasana shastra of a particular deity. So that, in a way, is why, this form of Hanuman has been given to us by the rishis, in order for us to be able to take the benefit of his worship. That is one aspect of it. um, there are again, what is the pramanam? Let us say we might ask, what is the pramanam that Hanuman has these five faces? Why is it not represented in the Mahabharata, in the Ramayana? Let us say we might ask this question. uh, in the Ramayana, when in the Uttarakanda, there is a mention of the Mahiravana part of it. When Hanuman goes to Mahiravana, he then goes with the five mukha aspect, and then he saves Rama and Lakshmana over there. But even in the Sundarakanda, the Valmiki Ramayana's main part, where Hanuman is being extolled as again, he's represented as somebody who is holding a gada. But in the main part of Ramayana, you would not see that Hanuman is holding a gada. Where does this gada come from? It's again the iconography aspect where we have just discussed, where the gada is again related to a particular bija akshara, which is then attributed to Hanuman, and his mantra is formed. Okay, so I have here references in the Sundarakanda, which refer to the five different faces of Hanuman. The Kapi face, his natural face, which is the Vanara face, we all know about it. So there we don't need to again speak specifically about this. But there are also these four other faces which have been mentioned at different places in Sundarakanda. I take Sarga number 37, Shloka 37 to 39. So the background to this is that Mother Sita has seen Hanuman, and she says, "Oh, you say that you will take me from here back to Rama. You are such a small cat-like figure. How will you do it? You know, how can you even imagine that you could do something so extraordinary?" Then he takes his Vishwarupa, the super form, where he gives darshan to Mother Sita as this five-face form, is what some people mention. But the Valmiki Ramayana mentions that he takes Meru Mandara Sankasho, Babhau Deeptanala Prabhaha, Agrato, Vyavasthe cha Sitaya Vanararshabhaha, Harish Parvata Sankashas, Tamravaktro Mahabalaha, Vajradamshtra Nakho Bhimo, Vaidehi Midamabravit, they say. So here is the direct reference to his Narasimha Mukha, which is Vajradamshtra Nakho Bhimo. We all know that, his Vajradamshtra and Vajranakha is always Narasimha. So this is the direct reference here to Narasimha. We go right. In fact, he is compared to Garuda in many, many, many places. If we go to Sarga number 1, there there is a direct mention of there he says, so this is the place where Hanuman is actually growing. He has been, Jambavan has come and told him of his powers, and then his shapa has gone, and now he has taken that super form and he is ready to jump. There he says, Utpapatatha vegena vegavana vicharayannu suparnamiva chatmanam mene sakapi kunjaraha suparnaha. So suparnaha here is the keyword which indicates Garudaha. Okay, so this is the Garuda aspect of Hanuman. In many places, Hanuman is also referred to as Harishardula. If you look up Amarakosha, which is the dictionary, right, of all of our Sanskrit literature, if you look up Amarakosha, Hari, one of the meanings of Hari, along with the monkey, along with Vanara, etc., etc., is also horse. So in many places, you will also see that Harishardula is also the Ashva Rupaha. Hmm. And
Shardula is the
Shardula is a lion, brother.
lion,
Shardula
huh?
is again lion. So you already have your Narasimha there.
Okay.
Okay, so Harishardula is so Shardula, Rishabha, and yeah, so mostly Shardula and Rishabha are mentioned in many places even in Ramayana to indicate that they are the best. So Narashardula, okay, Rajashardula. So when they say Rajashardula, he's the lion among kings. He's the best among kings. Okay, Rajarshabha. So you are the Rishabha, or the best among Rajas. So on. Okay, so here we'll take the Shardula easily because it's mentioned in many parts. But here the Hari part is indicative of the Ashwa. The fourth part, or the aspect of Varaha here, is beautifully represented by Parvata Bhede. So in fact, you see that when he's flying to Lanka, the Mainaka Parvatam comes. And he says, oh, this is a avarodham that has come, it's stopping me from going to Lanka. And he hits it with
Satya.
his chest. And Mainaka falls down, that huge mountain, it falls down. So Parvata Bhedaha, or the one which breaks or digs into mountains, is one of the names of Varaha. And by that he becomes the Varaha Rupa. Okay, so by this we have all the five faces established within Sundarakanda of Hanuman. Okay.
If you really read it like that, then then the story is going to go further and further. My God, huh? It's not easy to comprehend the whole gamut,
Indeed.
and we are blessed to get at least a taste of it. And even if we can create interest in few people to read Sundarkand directly, I think that would be of a great help. Because every depiction is amazing there.
Yes, brother. Indeed.
Wonderful. Thank you very much for these references. It helps to at least understand that there are some anyways it is a coded stories, but
Indeed.
still there are clear indications of how even the sages looked at Hanuman and kept their maryada of describing him in
Yeah.
in the required format. Yeah. So there is a very beautiful the thought that in this journey, when do we think that Hanuman became a realized soul, and that is where the whole transition might have happened. And we find one reference that uh, Ram, when everything was over, like Mother Sita had also left. I'm talking about much later in years, probably around maybe 11,000 years must have gone by or something,
Mhm.
when uh, when Ram was ruling, and then Mother Sita had left, and Ram was secluded. He was, nature of avatar. We know when his task is done, probably they go quiet, and it is only the engagement of his devotees that keeps him active.
Right.
Like Bhagavan Baba used to tell us that, now my job is done. Now do whatever you want. I'm only because as long as you want me here. And I remember this he told around 2007. I guess uh, we we were not quite ready to hold him for longer because because he's declared. He said, "Whatever I've come to do, I've done it." So I guess that is a time if Ram was quiet. So apparent description is that Lakshman feels that the brother is kind of lonely. A very strange thought Valmiki has captured, and in fact Vyas has also captured it like that. And they say that Lakshman approaches Sri Ram and prays to him to teach him Atma Gyan. And what Ram delivers to Lakshman is captured as Ramagita.
Mhm.
That discourse of Lakshman is very concise and very beautiful. But then we found also that Hanuman, how can he leave behind? So he also approaches Ram and prays to Bhagwan to teach him Atmagyan. And then Ram delivers it to Hanuman again. And that is more descriptive. In fact, uh, it is written like Bhagavad Gita only, because he has described the times and Vedas and all that. He has gone through the whole karmic cycles, and then he also delivers him the Atmagyan. And as we have understood that Gita is the Gyan of Atma, the knowledge, the ultimate. So Ram gives it to Hanuman, and a very easy to say that Lord Hanuman, whatever he might have been, being a perfect student for that matter, when the Lord teaches him Atmagyan, so there is no doubt about it that after that deliverance, Hanuman cannot remain the same Hanuman. So that transition happens to Lord Hanuman. And that is where, unfortunately, I couldn't find the reference of this note, but it is worth sharing because it was captured. I don't know. Bhagwan has quoted this verse, so we are comfortable in sharing this. Some people say even Adi Shankara has captured it, but I don't have direct or any other valid other than saying that Bhagwan Baba has quoted this. And this is a dialogue which is apparently happened between Lord Ram and Hanuman. Bhagwan Ram asked, "Oh Hanuman, how do you look upon me?" It's a very beautiful statement, and I wonder how many times Swami must have asked all of us, and I dare not say what crazy answers we might have given him. But here, look what Hanuman tells Lord: "Dehe drishtya tu dasoham, jiva drishtya tavadanchakam, tattva drishtva tamevaham, iti me nishchita mamai."
Ah, beautiful.
Ishwarancham Jiva Vedashi Chetan Amal Sahaj Sukharashi. This is like a verse from Ramayana, which and but beautifully explains that, oh Lord, when I have my body consciousness, you are my master and I'm your servant. And when I am conscious of myself as a soul, then you are the whole and I am the part. See, we only understood till there, Jiva Drishta Vadanchakam.
Mm.
I always thought that once we know that it's ultimate. But then he says, Tattva Drashtva Tamevaham.
Tamevaham.
Iti me nishchitai mama. That is beautiful. Tattva drishtva tamevaham. So when I have the knowledge of Atman, when I am one, then I am you and you are me. And this is what Bhagavan used to continue saying, I am you, you are me. I am in you, around you, above you, below you. See how beautifully Bhagavan has simplified this whole concept for us. But when Atma Gyan was delivered by Lord Ram to Hanuman, this is the answer which you typically hear. Like I'm forced to remember that again. Adi Shankara, imagine at age of 8, somebody asked him, "Who are you?" And he gave Atmashtakam.
Mm.
Now, who can even imagine such verses of Neti Marg and straight away
Perfect.
hitting, "Who am I?" Atman. I am not what I am not, and what I am. That answer was given by Shankara.
8-year
And
old
here,
Shankar.
8 years old Shankara. And here is Hanuman describing this so beautifully, that what is his relationship with Lord Ram. So we notice that the transition from a mere Vanara, born and brought up in a forest, obviously blessed by everybody, who finds Ram for at the age of around 38, and then on one glimpse of how a sadhaka prepares himself, that when the Lord comes in front of you, there are no questions, there are no doubts. He instantly accepts Ram as ultimate. And the result is, like Bhagavan used to say, since you struggle so much to get me, and once you have found me, why do you still struggle? But unfortunately, our struggles never stop because we never understood what our destination is supposed to be. But when Hanuman found Ram, he had nothing else to find, and he just remained as his dasoham. What a beautiful way to live your life as an instrument of God. And then he lived all through in that attitude of dasoham, killing his own existence every second of the time. And wherever he deviated, so to say, Lord Ram was quick enough to correct, like Bhagwan Baba did to all of us. And immediately he grew. And to an extent that when Ram gave him the Atmagyan, this is the answer we see from Lord Hanuman. Brother Jagdish, thoughts?
One of the things that, I mean, it's slightly off topic, yes, but then I was reminded of, when you said, when Rama asked Hanuman as to what do you think of me, right? So one of the places that I see in the Sundarakanda is that Hanuman actually doubts Ram. He says, uh, of course, the situation that they are in is dire, because they are in search of Mother Sita. Sugriva has given them a time frame of 1 month, that you should look for Mother Sita and come back to me in that 1 month. And then they are, struggling to find her. Then they think, oh, what is this Ram? He's supposed to be this Jitendriya, but then he's going after one woman. Is that how this Ram is? So that is the doubt that comes. Of course, it comes because of, the troubles that they are facing themselves. But
Who
then
gets this done?
the Vanaras, that's the
Vanaras.
yeah,
Vanaras get
all
it,
the
not
Vanaras
Hanuman.
along with, okay, along with Hanuman, because he's the leader there. Okay. But no. So then when he goes to Lanka and actually sees Mother Sita, and the chastity and the longing that she has for Rama, he says, oh, this is Mother Sita. For this lady, it's not just, so in fact their complaint is that the whole state of Kishkinda is actually trying to find Mother Sita. So the whole state's resources are going into finding one person. So that's criminal usage of resources, is what is their point of view. But then when he actually sees Mother Sita, he says, oh, this is Mother Sita. For her, it is okay even if you trade the whole three worlds. Okay, so all the three worlds can be traded for this lady, for this mother, and for her to go back to Rama. That is the kind of bhava he gets as soon as he sees Mother Sita. Uh, and the realization aspect of Hanuman and the Gita aspect, I think it comes much later. But then, as soon as he sees Mother Sita, he's already there. Okay, I think Sita itself herself is the Brahma Jnana, and as soon as Hanuman saw her, he already had that highest level of Jnana. However, probably he needed just that push, small push from Rama, so that he comes up with this kind of a verse, that Deha drishtya tu dasoham, Jiva drishtya tadamshakah, Tattva drishtya tvamevaham, iti me nishchitamati. What a beautiful shloka it is.
So let's continue. And now, when I look at, because as I said, exploring Lord Hanuman is not easy. So, easier way, I thought that we can look at Hanumanji's life from how it is described. So, we know in our Hanuman Chalisa, beautifully written is Asht Siddhi Navnidhi ke Data Aswar Deen Janaki Mata. So, in Ramayana, it says that Hanumanji was blessed by Mother Sita with this power or prowess of Asht Siddhi and Navanidhi. And not only Hanuman represented these things, but he became the bestower of Siddhis and Nidhis. So let us look at these to understand what are we talking about? Who are we talking about? This phenomena called Hanuman, and whom we worship, whom we love, who is supposed to be the avataric in the incarnation for the present times. In Kali Yuga, he is the most prominent consciousness force which can be easily invoked and who is overseeing and guarding all of us. So, what does this Asht Siddhi means and what does Nidhi? Let's start with Asht Siddhi. So, how do we understand Siddhis? Yes, Jagdish?
Siddhis, brother. So Siddhis are what we get by spiritual practice. So in fact, in many places it has also been mentioned in yoga, for example, right? So in yoga, the whole yoga is actually the Ashtanga yoga. The eight aspects of yoga are actually directed towards raising your kundalini from the Mooladhara chakra up to the Sahasrara chakra and beyond, right? So they say in yoga that when the kundalini is rising above and it is reaching one of these destinations, you are supposed to be getting one of these siddhis. Okay, so these siddhis are, for example, they give you various powers that, for example, you can be at multiple places at a time. Okay, but it
Yeah, we
should be
can look.
kept in mind. Mhm.
Yeah, we can look at these. Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah, totally. So, so for example, what I was mentioning here was mahima. Okay, so you can be at multiple places again. So anima, mahima, garima, laghima, laghutvat laghima, garima, gurutvat garima, and laghutvat laghima, praptihi. I can't see the whole thing. 1 minute, brother.
Parakram,
Parakrama. Ha,
parakram, sorry.
parakrama. Ha, parakrama, ishitva, and vashitva. Okay, so these are the 8 siddhis in a way, which are what a highest level of spiritual sadhaka gets. So anima, it says the power to transform one body into an atom, so in fact into different types,
Sai,
you.
can I just interrupt you here? I just thought, when if we look, this is a normal, what you have just said is very normal understanding is that as you grow in spiritual sadhanas, you get this powers.
Mm,
But then you get many more powers, and which we'll look at it later on, that you
yeah.
get many powers. But then, what is the speciality of these 8 siddhis? So, my take on it is that, no doubt you get it in the same way as the other powers you get, other siddhis you get.
Mhm.
But these are accomplishment or a proof of realization of that stage.
In fact,
So,
beautiful.
it can be an expression of a realization which manifests in these 8 powers.
Hmm.
Whereas acquisition part of it, you can acquire many more powers, many more siddhis. So there are many numbers of siddhis which are, available through
Correct.
our penance, through our. Uh, do you agree there?
Yeah, yeah, totally, totally.
Okay.
In fact, these are, for example, I mean, like you beautifully put it, for number one, for a sadhaka, how does God encourage you that, okay, good, good boy, you are on the right path. Probably he gives you one of these siddhis and says, good boy, do a little more, go beyond, go beyond, go beyond. And then, till the time you finally realize that all these are, array, he was just giving me small small things, tokens, so that, I'm encouraged to go towards him more and more, right?
See,
So,
I'll tell you what I'm thinking. Like, Bhagwan Baba has depicted all of this in many
mm,
ways, many times. But I'll give you one more, which I'm just remembering. There used to be a Buddhist saint. Unfortunately, I have to use this terminology I don't like. Saint is a saint. You know,
yeah.
even when he falls under some practice, we start labeling them as Hindu saint and a Buddhist saint. I don't appreciate, but just for reference sake,
Yeah.
he's from Kathmandu and Sikkim side, Sikkim area. So when he was about to leave his body, and it's a real documented thing, and it is still there. So that's why I'm quoting it, because I just missed seeing him, but I know
Mhm.
the place, I know it is real. When he was about to leave his body, he called all his disciples and he sat and told, now it's time for me to leave, and he gave final instructions to them. And in front of him, his body starts disintegrating.
Oh.
He's sitting there in front and he starts disintegrating, and the people start praying loudly and they scream because they could not bear seeing that.
Mm.
So he stopped and he shrunk. That full body, probably of 6 feet tall, shrunk into a tiny size,
Sai Ram.
and they have preserved that body, and that body goes, that frame is kept and preserved beautifully, and it is now. I last I noticed was he was in Kathmandu.
Oh.
So when I look at anima as a quality, as an ashtasiddhi, the power to transform one's body into an atom, that means to make himself just part of the basic core, structure.
Right.
So it is not that the avatar needs to do that when he has taken the body. He can reduce any body.
Correct.
Even that saint, who was, of course, a realized saint, he could reduce his body as he was leaving or left. So you can imagine what the power of avatar could be. So
Amazing.
when I think of anima, it is the concept itself is mind-boggling, but it is real. And Hanuman represented that. Not only he represented, he was now a bestower of anima to
Him
others.
also, indeed.
Beautiful, eh?
Yeah, I'm directly reminded of this of his interaction with Surasa, right? So where he
Yes.
becomes 10 yojanas, yeah, and he grows, and when she's not relenting, he doesn't go for his ego. There is no ego there. It's okay to become small, win her over by just by yukti and come out. He becomes an angushta
In
matrakaha.
that example, he gave Mahima and Anima at the same time.
Correct, correct.
He enlarged and he reduced.
Reduced.
Right? So it is Anima and Mahima is at the same instant it happens.
Beautiful.
So it's like mind-boggling thing, right? How, like I remember when we asked, somebody asked Swami that Bhagwan, uh, how do you will you come if I call you? He said, I don't have to come and go. If you call, I will manifest. So it
Yeah,
is the beauty of Bhagwan is not, his each letter, his words are amazing.
correct,
So it also reminds us that he doesn't need to travel. It is not a he's based in one place and he has to come somewhere.
correct,
So a concept of anima is also that he's in every atom of this
correct.
manifested and unmanifested universe.
Totally.
So for him, it is not to go from A to B. It is just appearing in a form which is, suitable for us to receive, which we are craving for probably. So it becomes easy manifestation, and that format is anima and mahima. I just find it fascinating with this anima and mahima. And look at garima, power to multiply body weight without change in the body. I think this also we have seen with Bhagwan. Sometimes he can be so light that we can support him.
Yeah.
And sometimes you can't even lift his finger if he doesn't want you to.
Correct.
How he has allowed people to carry him, to walk with him, and many times he would just put his. I have seen him press us with a thumb just at the bottom, and nobody could see. And you can't imagine the pain which boys have gone through while he's pressed. He would catch you between his two feet fingers. Many times he has caught the nose with that, and he has
Oh my.
pressed it so hard that even large boys could not pull away from him his grip. So you can
They would have
imagine
become vanaras themselves.
it was so sweet. But I think, these are very beautiful expressions. But important is to know that these are not mythical statements.
No.
These are not something imaginative or a poetic imagination of somebody. These are, as Bhagwan would call it, mantra shakti. These are all the powers of
Right.
the creation. And if we tap into it, these will become as real as anything else.
Indeed.
And Bhagwan would, in MBA, he was teaching us about mantra shakti and yantra shakti. He said, unfortunately, most of you are stuck with yantra shaktis. All the advancements in science and technology is only moving towards yantra. Yantra is machine.
Right.
In a simple translation, yantra is machines. But he said, the God and godly people, what they bank depend on is mantra, the power of mantra, as you are telling Bijakshari and all that. So
Correct.
imagine it becomes, it is, I would say, very imperative for us, very important and critical for us to not only acknowledge the importance and the powers of mantra, but also to explore them and try to gain from them. So these are the manifestations, beautiful. Laghima, so it's Garima is increase the weight and Laghima is
To reduce
reduce
the
it to the nil, it seems.
hmm
Prapti, power to disappear and to appear in any place of one's wish.
which
I think this we have seen many times. Do you have any thoughts? If you remember anything?
Praptihi, in fact, apart from what is written here, there is also one more definition that people mention of Praptihi. Okay. So he says, just like you mentioned some time back, right? So he manifests as he wishes. Okay. Uh, so Vyapakatvat Vishnuhu, they say. So they call him Vishnu, in fact, because he is Sarva Vyapi. He is everywhere. And like you beautifully mentioned, even Prahlada says that, Indu galad andu led ani sandehamu valadu, right? So um, that's the poem that, it's that's very popular about Prahlada saying this, which means basically that you don't need to doubt his presence at one place, and, he's there everywhere completely, right? I'm reminded of one experience, brother, that that reminds me of how Hanuman basically is. It happened with me. So these were the times when I was not. I had not read much of Ramayana, or any other scripture for that matter. It I was an. I mean, I was going to office, coming back. I had this desire, of course, to do something nice, but then it just didn't happen. Okay, out of the blue, every morning that I get up, I used to get this phrase in my mind which said, Tato Ravana Nitayaha. It said, Tato Ravana Nitayaha. What is this thing about Ravana? Why am I remembering Ravana in the morning every day? I used to feel bad about it for some days. But it never ceased. It says Tato Ravana Nitayaha, Tato Ravana Nitayaha. This happened for 15 days. Meanwhile, I one of my brothers, he said, yeah, very good. I didn't tell this to anybody by then. My brother, he said, you should start reading Ramayana and all that, but don't start with the first one. Start with Sundarakanda. He was telling me this for about a month or so, and I said, ha karenge, we'll do it, we'll do it. So, and one fine day, I had some time, so I wanted this book of Ramayana, so I go to him. I say, fine, you have been telling me to read Ramayana for so long. Give it to me. Give me a book. And then he picks this book up and gives. He says, start with Sundarakanda. Don't start directly here. Just like when you worship Shiva or Mother, you first worship Ganesha. Just like that, you first start with worshipping Hanuman and then go to Sri Rama. So you first read Sundarakanda. So
Even
I
Bhagwan
pick.
says about Gita, read chapter 12, Bhakti Yoga first, then come
Ah,
back from and read again.
right, right. So
Yeah,
as
carry on.
soon as I open this book, brother, I see the first sloka of Sundarakanda is Tato Ravananitayaha Sitaya Shatrukarshanaha Iyesha Padamanveshtum Charana Charite Pathi, it says. Even now and even then my hair stands on end when I read this. I had no idea why this was happening, and every day I go there, I was Hanuman's photo. I always used to worship. I used to put one flower there, nothing special. And then this experience he gives me. And after I finished the whole of Sundarakanda Parayanam, I was living in a concrete jungle. There, out of the blue, a monkey appears. So this, for me, is that thing of Prapti, where he just makes himself available wherever he wants to go. you know so the Prapti aspect of Hanuman, is totally visible in this particular experience. I did it several times, and Hanuman also blessed me several times in the same way. Out of the blue, in a concrete jungle, you would have never seen a monkey there, but a monkey appears somewhere. It may take a banana from you and go, but wow. It just makes your day.
Well, in childhood, Bhagwan has given. Hanuman's darshan to his friends. You
Yes.
remember the story when Hanuman wanted to take protection of Bhagwan Baba. So uh, I won't. It's not a surprise thing anymore now for all of us that and Hanuman is supposed to be Chiranjeevi. So
Yes.
his manifestation is easy. That is why I say that he is the present, guardian angel of this yug. So if anybody prays, it's easier to get that form darshan because he's presiding right now. So it's a beautiful thing to go through that journey with Bhagwan.
And
Lovely.
I would actually like to underline his benevolence here. I didn't go and tell him, Swami, I want to pray to you, show me a way. I didn't even say that. He came to me and said, do this, do this, do this, do this. Until the time I did it, he told me this, that's his benevolence, that he makes us do what he wants, and then he blesses us as though, as a reward of what we have done. While
See, what you say is the next power of Siddhi. See, like
yeah,
Ishitva and Vashitva. So Parakram is, of course, Parakramya, if you look at it, it is very, common for all of us because we have seen
correct.
anybody who has seen God and godly people, they know that power is so like prominent, and we have faced it so many times. You can't even think in front of him because he knows the thought. He knows before it arises in you. So it's a fantastic, parakramya. But Ishitva and Vashitva is also very amazing. The power to gain supremacy on everyone. See, as an avatar, in fact, Bhagwan Baba was very particular about it. He said, in this avatar, I, I will not be subdued by anybody. Like in Krishna avatar and Ram, he had to bow down, he had to accept it, he had to retrieve. But here in this avatar, he had committed that in this avatar, whatever I wish, I will pursue, it will get fulfilled, and there will be no retrieving back. And that is how he lived the whole life. So
Totally.
you see that Ishitva concept is very amazing. That if he wanted, I'll give you another beautiful thought. If he wanted, it could have been a different world altogether.
Oh, totally.
It happened like that. That many one year in, I think it was in mid 80s, we had the first Sadhu Sammelan in Prashanti Nilayam,
Hmm.
and he had invited all the saints and rishis from different parts of the country, and it was like the Prashanti Nilayam was full of Orchid Row people running around, walking around. So you could see that it was a different Prashanti at that time, and Bhagwan was almost lost with them. He was spending most of time with them, and we were getting only a small glimpse of Swami. It was so much that whole ratio had changed because
Okay.
we were spoilt by him by giving maximum time to us. Anybody comes, doesn't matter. A student body will get their share of time during darshan time. But during that period, as long as those sadhus were there in Prashanti, we almost were amazed to see that Swami was completely with them, surrounded by them. They were giving talks, they were puja, everything was happening around. And in that, Bhagwan had mentioned, he said, I don't let them come because then in fact, somebody asked him also, Swami, why? Because it's nice to see saints and seers near you. He said, if they come, Dunna Pota, what will happen to you? So that time we laughed, but it's worth thought that imagine if those seers come to Bhagwan,
Correct.
then we mortals will have no chance to be near him. He'll be completely surrounded by them. And that aura, that grace is difficult.
Right.
So for
Right.
our benefit, for our he had to keep them at a distance.
Correct.
And in fact, few sages have in fact acknowledged that truth.
Mhm.
Even some students have met them in Himalayas, and they have acknowledged this that we cannot come openly to Bhagwan Baba because he restricts us, but he comes to us.
Oh,
Yeah, and that is a proven thing. That is another. That story will go off in a different direction. So
yeah.
what I'm getting at is that This power to attract, power to supremacy is amazing with Godhead. But for our benefit, for our good, to give grace to insignificant mortals like us, he had to use restrictions.
Correct.
Imagine if he would have just increased his attractive power a little bit more and allowed. Prashanti Nilayam would be very small, man.
Yes.
It's so difficult. So Ishitwa is, and I have seen, people in Vrindavan it happened. Some people had come to disturb the peace of Mandir and they had them chains and all that with them. They were planning for some violent activity.
Bo.
And Bhagwan was told to that not to go out. And whenever you tell him like that, he will do opposite. He went out, and not only went out, he went straight to them. And as soon as he went to them, he gave them a smile, and they all dropped their chains and all their
Ah,
weapons they had in hand. They dropped everything, and they started folding hand, and they lost themselves.
wow.
So, what would I call that? Is it not Ishitva?
It is totally Ishitva.
It is Vashishta also. He's in Vashibhut. He can control and he can enamor you with anything. Just a smile is enough.
Yes.
So imagine these Ashtasiddhis. And Hanuman we have seen enough. In fact, the story of Hanuman also is amazingly filled in Ramayana. How
Mhm.
he uses these siddhis, how I should not say uses, how he represented these siddhis.
Correct.
That even he controlled Ravan. Imagine
Mm.
bringing Ravan for doing a Purohit job for Ram
Right. Yes.
and bringing Sita along.
Right.
So you can imagine what kind of Ishitva and Vashitva Lord Hanuman
Hanuman.
represented through his Vak Chaturtha, through his Chaturyam. He was amazing.
Right.
So when we look at this Ashtasiddhi, I think it is phenomenal. And I think it all originates from, as Bhagwan says, this is the power of self. So once you have realized yourself, these siddhis becomes manifested.
Mm.
What do you think?
Oh, amazing, brother. I am actually reminded of when you basically mentioned about the Vakchaturyam part of it, and how he, in spite of his Ishitvam, the supremacy, he's the Godhead himself. He's one with him. So what is that task that he can't do? But then when he comes and he decides to act as that body, as that person, even then, these things, just like a small body, or a small, let's say, any obstruction cannot stop the light of the sun. The sun is like very lustrous, and then nothing can stop his brilliance, right? Just like that, the body tries to stop whatever brilliance is there inside, and then it comes out in a beautiful form, just like the vak chaturyam that you mentioned. I'm actually reminded of a couple of shlokas there, where Mother Sita basically asks Hanuman that, there are so many of these vanaras that you mentioned. There are crores of them, according to you. How are you guys going to come to Lanka? There is this, 100 yojanas, and each yojana is supposed to be 8 miles. There is this 100 yojanas of some of the sea in between. How are you going, guys, even going to come over here and even fight a battle, if you wish to, right? Then he says, Mother, don't even worry about that. Okay, I would like to read out this sloka. It's such a beautiful thing. He says, Madvishishtascha tulyascha santi tatra vanaukasah. Mattah pratyavarah kaschid nasti sugriva sannidhau, he says, which means in Sugriva's court, all the vanaras that are there are either more are equal to me or are better than me. Okay. So there is nobody in Sugriva's court that is lesser than me. Mattaha pratyavaraha kaschin nasti Sugriva sannidhau. Okay, I am the least there. That's what he says, mother tells mother. Okay. Aham tavad iha praptaha kim punaste mahabalaha. So I have come here. What to speak of those great vanaras? They will uh, nahi prakrushtaah preshyante hitare janaah. When somebody sends a messenger, they don't send, let us say, IAS officers or great people. They send all, chota mota people. They send peons, or these kind of peoples only are sent, are sent as a messenger. They don't send big people. Tadalam paritapena devishoco व्यपैतुते ekotpaten te lankam Ashyanti Hariyuthapaha. In one jump, everybody will come here. Don't even worry. And Rama and Lakshmana, like Surya and Chandra, they will sit on my shoulders, and I will bring them here. You don't even worry about it. That's what he says. And the same thing he also continues when he goes to Ravana's court. He tells them the same thing. That I am the least, and I have done so much damage. So better beware, right? Vak Chaturyam, brother.
Yeah, in fact,
I was
yeah,
reminded
correct.
of this, but then,
Your camera is freezing. Are you okay?
yeah, I'm fine.
Okay. I think your camera has come back.
Yeah.
Yeah. In fact,
So
you
this
are,
is the
you mentioned,
Ishita over.
yeah.
No, no, go ahead.
No, I was just because you mentioned about this that how Hanuman is humble to say that, but I'm also reminded that in Anand Ramayan, which you referred and I was reading about it, it says that Angad carries Lakshman, whereas Hanuman carries Ram
Uh-huh.
all over the place,
Rama,
and
that's
it's Angad who actually has even shown this the power of Garima at the court
it.
of you know Ravana when he
Yes,
puts his
of
feet
Ravana.
down and says move, and nobody could
Correct.
move his feet. So it is a very amazing thing that even he was supposed to be the youngest and the
Of all the
prince
Vanaras.
of the lot.
Yes.
He's the youngest lot, and if he had that kind of prowess, can you imagine what are we talking about? In fact, Angad also is quoted that when he goes to the court, the Ravan does not give him the seat. Again, the same thing happens, and Angad also makes the
Correct.
seat out of his sleeve,
Of its tail.
and he
Yeah.
sits on it. So that means the power to increase and decrease the size of the tail is also was with
There with
Angad.
Anga. Correct.
So, so they were not ordinary that we can say Hanuman was exclusive there in that capacity. That
Correct.
is what I get another beautiful understanding that probably that is the reason why these powers, even though mentioned, were not too extraordinary highlighted for Hanuman.
Yeah.
Because Hanuman's greatness did not depend on the depiction of these powers.
Right.
The avatar is that beauty that
Correct.
these powers don't define the avatar.
Yeah.
These powers become an expression of avatar. So that is why even the expression of avatar does it as is needed and
Hmm.
which can benefit the humanity and the creation.
Totally.
So unfortunately, we get trapped by the Siddhis. That's why even if in Ramayana, if you look at this, in Hanuman Chalisa, one line also is this. Asht
Hmm.
Siddhi Navnidhi Data. That's it.
Aditya Datta. Right.
That's it. It is not even described in such a way that as if something extraordinary it is.
Mhm. Correct.
Even though when you dwell onto it, then you realize, my God, it is actually the core of the creative power.
Right.
But for a writer like Valmiki, it is nothing
Right.
because Hanuman does not restrict. Hanuman's persona cannot be limited to these siddhis and nidhis, but he represents them. So I feel like similarly, an unfortunate part is that when Bhagwan Baba is explained and described today, somehow our discussion boils down to schools and colleges and hospitals and water projects that Bhagavan has done.
Yes.
They were actually a drop in that ocean.
Exactly.
So to limit the grandeur of Avatar into few schools and few projects is sad. So that is where I find that the description, the presentation of avatars is never through their prowess, never through their miracles, never through
Correct.
their siddhis. It
Yes.
is defined in a different manner.
Mm.
So I find it is very interesting that how our writers, our rishis have presented these thoughts.
Right. No, like you
So they're
beautifully mentioned here, the Ashtasiddhis, or when you talk about the Parabrahma Tattvam, the Ashtasiddhis are these. But Hanuman, it seems he also bestows more mundane Ashtasiddhis, which are Buddhihi, Balam, Yashaha, Dhairyam, Nirbhayatvam, Arogata, Ajadyam, Vakpatutvancha, Hanumat Smaranat Bhavet. So just like this, these are also eight. So just like these are the just the schools, the colleges, the hospitals, the water projects, the schools, the colleges, the water projects, the
Jagdish, I lost you in the middle. I hope everybody, can the viewers please tell me if Jagdish was audible to all of you? Because I lost him for a few seconds. So, Jagdish, I'm not sure. I
yeah.
had lost you for a few, this conversation of yours. Can you speak something? So you all heard him. That's fine. That's fine then. Oh, you lost it. Yeah. See, every people have also missed you. Just can you repeat the last line? Oh, I think we. Oh, he'll come back. I guess he must have lost a connection there. Thank you. So, actually, what Jagdish was mentioning, I wanted to, in the meantime, let me share with you this one. Okay, Jagdish is back. Jagdish, oh, sorry, we had lost you there. So, you can repeat what you were trying to say there.
Okay, is it okay now? Am I audible?
Yes, yes.
All right. Sorry for that. Probably some network issue here. What I was mentioning is like we all know Bhagavan, or many people try to limit Bhagavan to the smaller achievements like school or hospital or the water project or whatnot, right? Similarly, Hanuman also bestows siddhis which are more mundane in nature, like buddhihi balam. So there is this shloka which says buddhir balam yasho dhairyam nirbhayatvam arogata ajadyam vakpatutvancha hanumat smaranat bhaven, which
Beautiful.
says buddhihi balam yashaha, which is fame, dhairyam.
Intelligence, strength, uh,
Yes, buddhihi
bala,
is intellect. Yes, balaha
intellect,
is
strength,
physical strength, yashaha, which is fame.
fame,
Okay. Yeah. Buddhi balam yasho dhairyam. Dhairyam is we all
will,
know what dhairyam is. It is will, and also yeah, will is the better explanation. Yeah. Dhairyam, nirbhayatvam, being fearless,
seriousness, huh?
arogata, which is having a healthy body. Yeah,
Health.
health. So arogita, ajadyam. Ajadyam is like let us say not beating around the bush, or basically doing what is right as for the time, or for the situation is ajadyam.
It's strong willed, I think. That's, I don't know.
Um, Jadyam is basically where you not having jadyam is ajadyam. So jadyam is actually where you are not acting as per the situation. You are kind of beating around the bush, and you, yeah, not to the
You are
point,
you
right?
are in the now and you do
Right.
whatever is required at the time. Okay.
Correct.
Hmm.
Ajadyam Vakpatutvancha. So you are the master of what you speak, right? So Hanumat
Communication.
Smaranat Bhave. So likewise, Hanuman also gives these smaller siddhis to individuals like us, along with, of course,
Since
the
since
Mahasiddhis.
you mentioned here, let me show you another set of knowledge which
Yeah.
Hanumanji depicts, not only depicts, but there are, as you were mentioning before, through our penance we can get these. So look at the
Okay.
Vidyas which are already part of the extra ones. So
Wow.
it's Parakaya Pravesh, Hadi
Hmm.
Vidya, Kadi Vidya, Vayu Gaman, Madalasa, Kanakdhara, Prakya, Surya Vigyan, Mrit Sanjeevani. Now, these are all knowledges which we are supposed to be taught and learned and practiced and acquired. so, so do you want to go quickly to them and give them a snapshot of what each stands for?
Yes, brother. So Parakaya Pravesha is has been, of course, shown or exhibited by many rishis also, along with Adi Shankaracharya. Hanuman is able to can give you the knowledge of Parakaya Pravesha, which is to to leave one's own body and enter another's body, which of course has its own consequences and all that. But he can make you master of that. So somebody can go there, do whatever is the activity, come back into his own body and so on. Okay. So Hadi Vidya, Kadi Vidya, these are Vidyas, or basically these are parts of Sri Vidya. Hanuman is also known as one of the best practitioners of Sri Vidya. So therefore, he can also teach you Sri Vidya. Sri Vidya, by the way, is one of the most well-known Shakteya forms of worship, which which can give you Iha and Para both. So Iha meaning so the goodies or the niceties of the world, right? Like wealth or money, etc., health,
Mm.
etc. Everything there. Yeah, name, fame, etc. Right, and then beyond para also. So you can also get moksha by doing the Sri Vidya is, and then Hadi Vidya and Kadi Vidya both are variants of the Sri Vidya. Both of this and very highly evolved upasakas can bestow this vidya on the let's say qualified upasakas, right? So Hanuman is like one of the best of the Sri Vidya upasakas, and he can also bestow the knowledge of these vidyas to the fitting to the qualified again. Vayugaman Siddhi, we have seen how Hanuman, has crossed over the ocean from about 800 kilometers, huh? So about 800 miles, because one yojana is supposed to be 8 miles, and then he crosses this ocean of 800 of 100 yojanas, which becomes 800 miles, and then he reaches Lanka. So side note here, do not go with with the Lanka that you have today and with the distance and all that. It could be different, because back then it was a lot of yugas behind, and then it is a proven fact that the whole land mass has been moving. So probably that time Lanka was much beyond what it is today, right? So then Vayu Gamana Siddhi, then Hanuman showcased that one, and not just that, he can also bestow this. I've heard from one of my gurus that there are siddhas that can do Vayugaman even today in kshetras like Arunachala and all that. So they say that they were doing this parikrama of the Arunachala hill, and there were siddhas who just came by air, just like that, and did them came there, stopped there, did an upadesh, went back. And there they mentioned that it is the will of Lord, I have a direct command that I do this upadesh to you, so I am doing it as his servant, and they do it and go. So that's the Vayugamana Siddhi which Hanuman can bestow. The Madalasa Siddhi, or the power to increase and decrease the size of the body, that we have already seen in the Anima and Mahima part of it. Kanakadhara Siddhi. So Kanakadhara is also one of the Siddhis that has been, I'm mentioning this because we know, for example, what this is, right? So Kanakadhara was a Siddhi that was again showcased by Shankaracharya. We know this Kanakadhara Stotram very well, right? And the story goes that Shankara was a mendicant, So he used to go from house to house to for bhiksha. For that day's bhiksha, he goes to one lady's house who's a very poor woman, and then he says, "Bhavati bhikshan dehi." This poor lady, she has nothing, in fact. So he looks through her house, and she doesn't find anything. She finds an old dried amla, one a gooseberry, right? She brings that and says, "Brahmana, I don't have anything in my house. I'm very poor, but I have this amalaka. Please take this." She gives that. And then Shankara bursts out into this Kanakadhara Stotra. And by doing that Kanakadhara Stotra, it seems Mother Lakshmi, she bestows this house with with rain of those amla sized golden nuggets, you know.
Golden nuggets.
So that Kanaka Dhara, right? Kanaka is gold and Dhara is basically a stream of gold, right? So then Shankara actually bestows this household with by the grace of Mother Lakshmi, whom he prays through this Kanakadhara Stotra. So this is also a siddhi that Hanuman can bestow on the sadhakas. Okay. Prakya sadhana. After accomplishing this power, the master can command his disciple to take birth from any lady. So in fact, this is also a smaller siddhi. It is not so Swami, of course, has shown how he has entered Mother Ishwaramba's womb and all, but it's not required that this siddhi be exhibited by Swami. Even smaller sadhakas can get this siddhi uh, through the uh, through the worship of Hanuman, and also through the grace of his of Hanuman. Right? Surya Vigyana is also so basically this is the conversion of one form to the other. So just like you have fusion that happens in Surya, right? So you see, I mean, look at the name, how the sages named it as Surya Vigyana, and connect it with fusion, right? So what happens in fusion? It is hydrogen that becomes helium. Okay, there are atoms of hydrogen that fuse to become helium. So that's one form to another form, and then that's why probably this has been named as the Surya Vigyana, where you can convert one material to the other, just like the Parasamani, right? So we have heard of the Parasamani in lore. It seems you touch it to iron, iron becomes gold, and with the Parasmani you touch anything, it becomes gold, right? So this kind of a Vigyana, or this kind of a Vidya, is called the Surya Vigyana. Okay. Mrita Sanjeevani Vidya, this we have seen any number of times in the Ramayana. Okay. uh, then this Indrajit comes, he puts a Brahmastra. Actually, he uses the Brahmastra on all the Vanaras, on the whole army, and everybody is fallen. I'm reminded of a beautiful thing here. Everybody is fallen down. There are two people who are unharmed, or there are number of people who are unharmed. One of them is Vibhishana. Vibhishana goes and sees that everybody is fallen, mostly dead. Okay. It's like using a nuclear weapon on an army, and the whole army is gone, right? So Indrajit, he uses his Brahmastra on them, and they are all down. uh, Jambavan is Brahma's son, so he doesn't die. Plus, he's a Chiranjeevi, so he doesn't die. He's injured, like he can't even recognize anybody. He's injured to that extent. So when Vibhishana goes there, he checks the whole army, and then he goes to Jambavan. He says, "Tata, I am here." And by his voice, he recognizes. Jambavan recognizes him and says, "Oh, by your voice, I know that you are Vibhishana. Tell me what happened to Hanuman." Then Vibhishana asks, Aryaputra kim pruchhasi marutim, he says. Oh, you have you have not asked me about the well-being of Rama and Lakshmana, the Aryaputras, and you are asking me about the well-being of Hanuman. What is this? Why? And to that, Jambavan replies, I don't remember the shloka, but then he replies, if one Maruti is alive, if Hanuman is alive, it is like the whole army is alive. If one Hanuman is not there, even if all the army is there, and you have even more crores and crores of vanaras, it's waste. You not even one person is it's of no use, is what Jambavan says. And accordingly, Hanuman is then given this task of bringing the Sanjeevani Parvata, and he brings the Sanjeevani, and then when all of the Vanaras come back to life, and then the war goes on, right? So that is the power of Hanuman, that if one Hanuman is there, the whole of the army is there. If one Hanuman is not there, I don't need to say it again.
Actually, in Ramayana, you rightly said, even in Anand Ramayana I was reading, and there are a couple of times when people are rejuvenated back to
Right,
life.
right,
So it is not once only and not one person. It is
correct,
like in masses, they keep reviving them. So they
exactly.
are killed and they are revived. They are killed and they are revived. My God. So this is a very crazy thing. But when I go through all of this, I can remind myself of so many things which Bhagavan has done in each one of these powers. He has shown us in all. But one thing I would like to mention here, uh, restricted for the English language, all these the definitions which are given for this Hadi, Kadi, Vidya, and all that, they are actually oversimplified, to put
Right.
it in a simple way. Uh, the the Vidyas are not just that.
Hmm.
So, it's like one of the outcomes of Hadi Vidya could be the control of hunger and thirst. But the Vidya, Hadi Vidya, when we say, Kadi Vidya, when we say, they are not just that, what is mentioned here. So, I would only request that people should understand that these English translations are indicative and they are only referrals from there. But actual science like Surya Vigyan, it is the secret of creation. It has
Yes.
got everything of knowledge. So it is not only converting the form of one element or another, but once you know the core element, then it is easy. Like Bhagavan could manifest, from energy to matter, matter to energy. He did it every day in a very
Right.
casual format. So Surya Vigyan is that and more. So it is not just the manifestation or conversion of forms, but it is the secret of the creation. And Nitya Sanjeevani is, it's easy to say that what we look at is remanifestation. But imagine what is entail. We can't even comprehend the other facets of this knowledge.
Totally.
So Shukracharya was given by Shiva with
Correct.
Sanjeevani Vidya. So you can imagine it comes from Lord Shiva himself, who is the master of everything, Kala, and then it is given to Shukracharya. So it is not something which is as ordinary or anybody can have it. So here also in Ramayana, even though Hanuman is supposed to have Mrit Sanjeevani Vidya, but his Maryada enclosed him from not using it directly. So he had to go and get that Ved, Vaidya from Lanka, like doctor
Hmm.
from Lanka, and whose recommendation he goes and gets Sanjeevani Mountain, and then it is created. So you can imagine that yug, that era of such a Maryada, that everybody, even though had these powers, yet they did not use them. They did
Exactly.
not show off
Right.
because they had to follow certain code, certain Maryada, and that is, I find, fascinating and more, it makes it more beautiful and charming for me to explore Ramayana. It is not easy. If we know little bit, we want to show off, we will not stop talking about it.
Correct.
And here these people were in control of everything, and they lived as if they were nothing.
Correct.
I'm reminded of Bhagwan saying that, he showed one day hand and he said, "What is there?" And a boy said, "Swami, nothing." He said, "Buddhi Ledra, this nothing is everything.
But universe is there.
This everything is nothing." So, that is what I would say, Surya Vigyan. So, all of these definitions, when we look at, my only request to the viewers would be to keep that in mind, that these are not ultimate definitions. They are indicative just for our reference sake, we are using it. But these powers should explain to us the, the level which we are expected to reach. So today, by neglecting our cultural background, our neglecting our spiritual heritage, we are actually missing out on mantra shaktis and all these beautiful facets of our life. Okay, let us introduce. I think we will not go deep into it, but I would think that we have time to at least introduce now Nidhis.
Mm.
How would you, Jagdish, how would you introduce and define the word Nidhi?
The Nidhi aspect is basically, again, so normally speaking, Nidhi is a treasure. That's the English translation of a Nidhi, right? It's a treasure. Okay. But speaking of these are not just, let's say, Nidhi, meaning, a treasure that consists of a trove of gold, or lots of gems, etc., etc., right? These are beyond, right? So some of the definitions that are written here are to a large extent in line. But I would also like to recall here that when you talk about upasana of any deity, um, when you do, let us say, upasana of Ganesha, or Hanuman, or any deity, right? It has been a common practice that there is a yantra that is drawn. Okay. And in the yantra, the bija mantra is somehow encrypted in the yantra. And also, around the deity, which is normally at the center of the yantra, there are various powers. And one of the things that you have normally in these chakras or the yantras are also are the nidhis. Okay. Which means that the the deity that's at the center is a bestower of these nidhis. Okay. These nidhis are in a way a reservoir, a repertoire, basically, uh, of what a person normally, or a upasaka or a bhakta needs. Okay.
Even the
So
root word of this is reservoir, right? How do you
yeah,
explain the root? Hmm.
so the root of this is nidh. Nidh is actually a reservoir, and from there the nidhi word comes. Okay. So padmanidhi, again, it these words also indicate numbers. Okay. You will see padma, mahapadma, shankha, kharva, these are all also indicative of numbers, which are, 10 to the power of 10 to the power of, right? So I can, we can
Yeah, they are
probably
measurements for actually monetary measurements. These are our
totally, yeah,
counting. Kharva,
correct,
Shank, Kashtak, Makar,
correct,
Nand, Mukund, Neel, Mahapadam, Padam. So these are
yes,
all gradation of that.
correct. So along with that, it when you of course, when we are doing upasana, I think there are four types of upasakas, like the Gita says, right? Artaha, artharthihi, jigyasu, jnani, right? For what are they going to the Lord? The jnani, probably everybody is going there with an objective. Okay. Artaha, probably his objective is that, he wants his miseries to be dissolved. That's his objective. Okay. Artaha. Artharthihi, he wants wealth. Okay. For whatever good purposes that he wants for, right? Artaha, artharthihi, jigyasu, he wants, again, his objective is to gain knowledge. And the Jnani's final objective is, of course, to realize oneness with him. So they all have objectives. And these nine nidhis satisfy the various objectives of the four types of devotees, or the four types of seekers of the Lord, right? So again, in their whole journey, so of course, if, an artaha, for finally, when his disease or his problems are gone, he would like to be a better human being, or a better person, or a better or a wealthier person. Then he will ask for, God, now give me wealth, let me lead a better life, right? and then probably a jigyasu. Then when all of his things are satisfied, then he will ask, let's say, for to know God, or to have more and more jnana, or knowledge, for his pursuit of his self. And then he finally probably becomes a jnani, where he also needs various things. Again, the source of all these, the reservoir of all these, is the Paramatma. Maybe he's sometimes represented in the form of a yantra, or in the form of an iconographic Panchamukha Anjaneya, or for us, our most beloved form, Swami. In all these forms, these nidhis, or these reservoirs of his, are directed towards satisfying the objectives of each of these types of.
I think it's a very good approach to look at it because Artharthi, Jigyasu, and Jnani, uh, from their point of view, when you look at it, what they need from a materialistic perspective and little higher, those are nidhis. So
Yes,
nidhis are that reservoir which are bestowed based on the recipient's caliber and capacity.
right.
So, and like that you said about arthi, arthis are people who think of God only when they are in trouble. Artharthi is who wants to do business with God. God, give me a lottery, give me this, let me pass my exam, let me get a promotion. So they are doing business kind of a deal with God. And Jigyasu is one who is inquiring with God, who wants to know, explore uh, life. And then obviously Jnani, who has got nothing but focus on God, he wants to have understanding of Atma Gyan.
Oneness.
So, but now if you look at it from this perspective, and I would suggest that I would think so, that since the Nidhis are using this terminology of measurement of wealth, so people get into, I think it is a little skewed interpretation that Nidhis are only as if somebody is giving you gold coins or, golden biscuits.
Right.
So how many Padmanidhis you're getting. So here it is actually represented by gold and silver.
Yes.
So I guess that could also explain if, for example, Bhagwan giving a gift, he would give a ring, a golden ring with a Neel diamond on it, that
Mm,
big
mm,
diamond. And if you look at the ornamentation of gods, like Chudamani of Mother Sita or Neel, so these are, even though they look precious or semi precious stones, but they are, for that, from that perspective, they have their own vibrations and they have their own energy. So they represent that purity level. See, if you have the capacity, then even if you eat in a golden plate, it is much cleaner and much healthier than eating in a brass plate or in a any other plate. So
sure.
obviously there's a level. So, but people get, I think, they trapped because of the words Padma, Mahapadma, Neel. So they get trapped into these words. But it's important to understand that how the nidhis are bestowed, that reservoir being Hanuman or avatar per se, is bestowing. For example, this is my interpretation. Padmanidhi, a person endowed with sattvic qualities,
Mm,
is represented by giving gold and silver. So the gold and silver is given to a person who is practicing sattva in their life,
mm,
right? It could be that. But important thing is to understand that it increases your sattvic qualities and attributes.
right.
So when you are going purity wise in your Padmanidhi, it is only to cover you up, endow with you with sattva qualities. And Mahapadmanidhi, if you see, charitable character. So which means if I increase charity in us, that means we have to increase sacrifice, we have to increase detachment, we have to increase giving up. So if you develop those abilities, that is compared to as Mahapadmanidhi,
Beautiful.
right? So I feel that way becomes Mahapadmanidhi when God is giving you that power, and our action is to do charity, to give. to learn to give. So we are bestowed with that Mahapadmanidhi, Nil Nidhi's sattvic radiance, and prosperity lies for generation. So imagine, like Bhagwan would say, no, that I bless you and your children. So imagine he goes on, how many generations are touched by them.
Right.
So here it is like when you are given that radiance, effulgence, and whole life is under my control. That is probably the Nil Nidhi. So people who got like that blue ring from Bhagwan, I would say he just gave promotion to everybody and put them in Nil Nidhi category. Like here you go, buddy. So you will always live in the spiritual radiance,
Wow.
and your care taken care for a generation done, isn't it? Then if you look at the Mukunda Nidhi, it is endowed with Rajoguna. So people with Rajoguna, and they would like to own, they like to have name, properties. So he gives even that.
Mm.
Some people he says, okay, man, keep expanding. So sometimes you wonder why he does that if it is, but at stage of a aspirant is that. So he needs because his rajogun is higher. So as you said, it could be the classification of jigyasu, where the mukundinidhi would be bestowed on because he's inquiring, but he's still stuck in the bottom. He's still negotiating with God. So artharthi and jigyasu, in the middle cusp of that is Mukundanidhi is bestowed on such people who wants to acquire and yet they have a spiritual orientation. So probably Hanuman would bestow Mukundanidhi on them.
Yeah.
Nandanidhi, endowed with rajas and tamas qualities. So it comes down to that, arthi artharthi. Now we are looking at arthi artharthi combination. So
Yes.
it's okay, take care of your family,
Yeah.
right? At least take care of your home and family and be happy there. So that is Nandanidhi when everybody feels that okay. Because now when I look at it like this, I realize that people who are very close to Bhagwan and been living like that, they literally had like their tests are difficult, very dangerous.
Right.
Like even if I talk about Kasturi Garu and all that, they
Uh,
lost their family in front of their eyes.
right.
So the Nandanidhi was not for people of caliber of Kasturi Garu.
Mm.
For him, it could be pure Padmanidhi,
Totally.
right? So imagine the whole concept is, I think it made more sense now that Nandanidhi is bestowed on people who are trapped between, Artharthi and Arthis, who are
Right.
only thinking of God for negotiations and all that. He said, okay, take it. At least.
Material happiness.
And Makar Nidhi is Kshatriya qualities. Okay, so those are again Kashyap Nidhi is person of tamas quality who is self-engrossed, who needs money for himself. So probably Arthi.
Mm-hmm.
So Arthi is the caliber of Kashyap Nidhi. Shank,
Kachhapanidhi.
yeah, Shank Nidhis are for people who want to take care of the whole generation. Like I, my son, should be taking care and be happy with that. And Kharva Nidhi is mixed results. So I don't know. So it sounds very fantastic that, and as you said, the root word for nidhi is reservoir. So he's a reservoir, and whichever level we are, he will bestow.
Right. Totally.
Right? So, Srini, you can go, but there's a one Srinivas brother has mentioned something. Can Sai Jagdish clarify if someone received a particular gift in recognition of that quality already in that person, or to inculcate that quality in the person lacking that quality.
Someone received a particular gift in recognition of that quality already in that person, or to inculcate that quality in the person. Okay. I think the gifts that we receive from Bhagavan are mostly aimed towards our spiritual upliftment. It's
Healing.
not like, yeah, so he doesn't give you gifts for fun. Okay. His actions, all of his actions are always focused, always towards the end. And what is the end? he wants you to grow spiritually. So today probably, satisfying your material needs could give you that extra push in order to probably give you that extra time to do sadhana, and probably, you know by that sadhana you grow spiritually, right? So all the gifts that God gives us are good for us, because he sees to it that, they are good for us, and they become good for us because they allow us to grow spiritually. That's how I see it.
So Nidhis are, he's a reservoir. So what you need at that point of time to stabilize yourself and move upwards, he will bestow on that.
And also, I think there is one important aspect here, is that of eligibility, right?
Yes.
So for example, you have 220 volts of power, but the bulb doesn't need 220 volts. So bulb can draw as much power as it needs. And then, you have a refrigerator, or a larger appliance, it will draw power that it needs, right? So the reservoir is there, but we can draw only so much that we are able to manage, right? So, and that's the eligibility. And also, due to this I mean, whatever we receive from the Lord, we grow. Irrespective of, our eligibility, we grow. So our eligibility keeps increasing if we are on the path of sadhana.
Let me, this Srinivas has also written before, I just missed that. Can Brother Sai Jagdish clarify that such powers are exhibited by avatars only for a specific reason or public good? Lok Kalyan
Oh,
and not Kalyan.
totally,
That we discussed,
totally.
yes.
Yeah, so
That
in
we,
fact, I am very beautifully reminded here of what Hanuman does, right? So I'll bring you back to Sundarakanda here. In Sundarakanda, Hanuman basically, exhibits all these powers. He becomes, Meru Mandara Sankasho, meaning he becomes his Panchamukha avatar, which is like his Vishwarupa, right? And he gives that darshan to Mother Sita. Mother Sita, she sees him and says, "Oh, I know that you are that big. Come down, come down." you know. And then, he says that, Mother, I am totally powerful. I can take you from here. I can even do it to such an extent that I can take the whole of Lanka from here and put it in Kishkinda, where Rama is. Okay. So that way I don't even need to touch you. So Mother, in fact, she gives a tarka, says, I am a pativrata, I am not going to touch you. Okay. So you if you even if you wish to take me, how are you going to do that? So he says, I can, take the whole of Lanka and put it there, problem solved. Then Mother Sita says, no, this is going to spoil the yasha, or the fame of Rama. Okay. They will say that, somebody took Mother Sita, and then Rama, he took the help of a monkey to get his wife back. He was not, able enough to go and get his own wife back. So Rama's and our Surya Vamsha's yashas, or the fame, is going to be lost. So there the dharma is also to keep their fame, to keep the Lord's name there. Okay. That's why then Hanuman says, yes, Mother, what you say is dharma, and I am going to follow that. So there, even more important than showcasing one's powers or one's abilities, is to follow dharma. The whole of Sundarakanda, you will see that, dharma, 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 dharma. So for that matter, I just mentioned, Hanuman going into Ravana's court, and mentioning that, uh, such powerful vanaras are there with us, that, you better watch out, right? So this is the kind of warning he sounds there. But is it true? If you have to actually look at it, are there other vanaras that are more powerful than Hanuman? There probably are not. Okay. Because he has this Vishwarupa. But is it right? I think that was dharma at that point, because he does the right thing there, which is to scare the enemy. Okay, that is also right at some point, right? So it's you take this as a, as two parties, right? Rama and Ravana, that are there, that are going to war finally. There it is right, or the dharma of one side, to scare the other. It's fair. And there, that's why Hanuman says, that there are vanaras that are equal or more powerful than me. Better watch out. So it could even, if Ravana were any saner, probably it could have, been that he takes Mother Sita and goes to Rama and says, Swami Sharanu, please save me from this. I am coming into your refuge. He was not. So Ravana is another case study. But then this is how Hanuman followed Dharma at all times. That comes above, you know, showing your powers, and like you rightly said, brother, by doing that he did Loka Kalyanam.
See, now if you put it together, we have tried to look at Hanuman from a different eyes and see different facets of him. And today we had a glimpse into his Siddhis and Nidhis. And now we realize that these are such an natural expression of an avatar, and they are personally capable of doing everything what is needed for us. Here, yes, and I would like to show you something that because we have been talking about Bhagwan, and I'll tell you something very interesting that Brother Anil actually pointed this out to me. That whatever Swami does, it is amazing. Now, this
Ah,
picture, if you notice, this picture is of Rama Darbar at the just at the adjacent to the Gopuram of Prashanti Mandir, and all the people who have visited that abode of supreme peace and the divine place would have seen this. This was constructed to keep Likhit Japam books. So devotees from all around the world, they had written, that they should do Nama Japam, Likhit Nam Japam, and those books had been offered to Bhagwan, and then Bhagwan instructed to put them together, and he constructed this. So at the base of it, all the books are placed. Now notice this, and it's very interesting, and I would request all of us to look at this uh, thing very carefully. Look at this form, this whole mandir. Ram Darbar, which has got Hanuman sitting here. There's a Hanuman also on top of this, flying Hanuman with a mountain in hand. And then you have the Hanuman, which is self engrossed in bhakti. Okay. And in the beginning, we had even mentioned the Rama Bhakta, Ramadasa, and Ram Sarupa. So if you look at Ram Bhakta is this. So if you look at this chart, here's this is Ram Bhakta. Hanuman sitting at the feet of Ram, Sri Ram, Lakshman, and Mother Sita. This is Ram Bhakta. Then Ramadasa is one wherein he is doing the service of Rama, depicted by carrying the mountain. And the third is Ram, Rama Sarupa.
wow.
Here he is engrossed in Ram and has become one. It's a worth thought that he has got so many. If you look at all the idols in Prashanti and all the temples he has constructed, there are different ways in which mandirs are decorated, and there are n number of avatars forms. It could be Ganesh, Kartikeya, Lakshmi, Saraswati, and all that can be presented. But Bhagavan chose three Hanumans in one altar, and all three Hanumans are different. Why would Bhagavan do that? And we know that he doesn't do anything without a purpose and a message. What a subtlety of conveying the journey of an avatar, Hanuman, and journey of all the sadhakas. We start with Rama Bhakta, Rama Duta, and then become Ram Sayujya. And I'll take you further. Look at the mandir. This is the mandir picture of Baba Prashanti Mandir. Here also, this form of Hanuman is kept to worship.
Sayujya.
This is the Sahidya, Sai Ram Sahidya form, which is kept for worship. I would have seen this hundreds of times, but today when we explore it and we try to learn, we realize, you know, isn't it amazing
Beautiful,
looking at these
beautiful.
forms of Ram Bhagwan, how he has described Hanuman without saying he has put it. So three Hanumans here and one Hanuman here. And of course, there's Hanuman on top also,
Yeah,
but that is an old one, Ram Bhakta to Ram Sayujya. Isn't it beautiful? I'm sure if once we start, you know, contemplating on Lord Hanuman, there is no limit. But today, I think we had this greatest blessing, I would say, of Bhagwan for allowing us to dive into this beautiful life and at least get a taste of it. And hope it inspires everybody to explore more, to contemplate on this beautiful form of avatar called Sri Hanuman. So thank you, brother Sai. I think today we'll wind up at this junction,
yes, brother.
and I would request all the viewers to share your thoughts, and if you have any questions or suggestions, please feel free to write. The video will be available on the channel, and we'll take it from there. So, Jagdish, any final statement you want to say?
Brother, I want to, thank you for this opportunity, firstly. And finally,
Also,
I would like to offer it to Swami and just mention the Jaya Mantram that, this is the shloka from Sundarakanda, which is read when beginning anything or, success. जयत्यति बलो रामो लक्ष्मणश्च महाबलः राजा जयति सुग्रीवो राघवेणाभिपालितः दासोऽहं कोसलेन्द्रस्य रामस्यक्लिष्टकर्मणः हनुमान् शत्रुसैन्यानां निहन्ता मारुतात्मजः न रावणसहस्रं मे युद्धे प्रतिबलं भवेत् शिलाभिस्तु प्रहरतः पादपैश्च सहस्रशः अर्दयित्वा पुरीं लङ्काम् अभिवाद्य च मैथिलीं समृद्धार्थो गमिष्यामि मिषतां सर्वरक्षसाम्. This is the Jaya Mantram from the Sundarakanda. You can use it as and when required.
thank you, brother. Thank you, and Om Sai Ram.
Sai Ram.
Bless. Thank you very much.